This is Adam Bernard with AutoPerspectives, and it is time once again for a news roundup as we discuss some of the more interesting recent stories in the auto industry. It was a relatively quiet week last week, but we did have one somewhat significant launch. Now, you could argue over who makes the best car in the world, but some people will tell you that it is the Mercedes S-Class. It has undergone an extensive refit for the 2027 model year. It does look very similar to last year's model, but Mercedes tells us that over half of the parts are newly developed, updated, and refined. So this is a lot more extensive than your typical mid-cycle update. Up front, the grille is now 20% larger, and yes, it can be illuminated if you're so inclined. You also get a lot of gloss black trim. You can see it there around the headlamps, around the grille, around the air intakes. To me, it looks maybe a little less classy than you might expect for a vehicle that starts at $120,000. If the illuminated grille is insufficiently bling-worthy, you can also get a illuminated stand-up three-pointed star. And you can see the star motifs there in both the headlamps and the tail lamps, just to remind people who may not know what it is they're looking at, what the brand is behind the sheet metal. If you're a bespoke kind of buyer, the manufacturer made-to-measure program for Mercedes offers over 150 exterior colors and more than 400 interior colors. So not quite Rolls-Royce Bentley level, but more than you get from some of the other automakers that are out there. Under the skin, following its debut on the CLA, MB.OS shows up here. That's Mercedes' new operating system. It includes both Google and Microsoft AI components. It runs on a water-cooled supercomputer and offers all sorts of extra smart assistance to both drivers and passengers. Speaking of assistance, the driver assistance technology is now supported by 10 cameras, 5 radar units, and 12 sensors. MB Drive Assist Pro, which is the top of the line, enables what Mercedes calls a seamless and safe point-to-point driving experience. So not totally hands-off, mind-off, but slowly getting there. The rear wheel steering, which up to this point was 4.5 degrees, now offers a 10-degree configuration, so more maneuverability. And finally, if you look under the hood, the 6-cylinder engines have been tweaked, but the V8 is all new. It is a 4-liter twin-turbo, 537 horsepower, flat plane crank engine. Now, flat plane cranks, normally see those on high-performance engines like a Ferrari, so it's a little unusual to see it on a luxury car. I'm not quite sure what the motivation was, but it does differentiate Mercedes V8 from what Audi and BMW offer. The inside has also been more substantially made over than the outside. You now get the Super Screen, which includes both central and passenger side displays. Unfortunately, this is still a largely screen-controlled vehicle. The haptic steering wheel controls, however, have been replaced by physical controls, including a roller for the volume, so it's not all 100% touchscreen. It's maybe just a little more touchscreen than some automakers realize customers are comfortable with. There's an upmarket rear compartment package. It's a little less loungy and a little more boardroom-like, and includes both larger screens, separate smartphone-type remotes, and cameras to enable video meetings. So if you're being chauffeured to the back, you can take a Zoom meeting while you're off to the airport. Because we are running out of surfaces to warm up, because you got seats, steering wheel armrests, Mercedes now offers heated seat belts to keep you extra toasty. And then finally, MBUX now includes notes and calendar functions, but they only sync with Google and Microsoft, so they don't synchronize with your Apple computer or your Apple Notes, which is unfortunate. You know what? There's a new BMW 7 Series or an updated 7 Series due this summer. We know the Chinese are raising the bar as well. A lot of the other players in the large luxury sedan segment are maybe a bit also ran. But Mercedes clearly needs to stay on top. And obviously, we will likely see a Maybach version of the updated S-Class later this year, which I'm sure will get even better and more fancy bling than what we saw here. And speaking of bling, let's look at Rolls-Royce's next electric vehicle. Now, the Spectre is already in market. It had a pretty successful first-year launch. Sales this year are a bit down from last year, but their second EV has been spotted testing, and we now have a rendering of what that could look like in production. It's supposed to be revealed by the end of the year. It appears to be something around the size of the Cullinan, very similar actually in size and proportion. Now, BMW has recently said that they can plan to continue building their gasoline engines for quite a while, including the V12s. So it does suggest that whatever this vehicle is, it's not necessarily the next Cullinan, but maybe a Cullinan EV that would be sold alongside maybe an updated version of the current V12 powered Cullinan. This new model is expected to share the architecture of luxury and the EV hardware with the Spectre. There's been some speculation that they might pick up some technology from the new class BMWs that have just been introduced, things like zonal architecture and upgraded motors and battery components, but we won't know for sure until Rolls-Royce makes the official announcement. It is likely larger than the upcoming Bentley EUV, which they describe as an urban SUV. That vehicle is about 5 meters long. This vehicle is quite a bit larger than that and will probably be quite a bit more expensive than it as well. So we'll see if it shows up before the Paris Motor Show. Perhaps it'll show up at Pebble Beach this summer. Again, Rolls-Royce slowly marching towards electrification. We'll look at another large luxury SUV, this time coming out of China. This is from IM Motors. It is the LS9 Hyper. IM Motors is the joint venture between MG and e-commerce giant Alibaba, kind of like the Google of China. And it's part of that larger SAIC group. That's the Shanghai Automotive Group, which includes the MG brand, among others. This is now an Escalade-sized flagship. So this is just about as big as a standard gasoline-powered Escalade. It's not as big as the Escalade IQ. One of the new features here is the industry's first 24-degree four-wheel all-electronic steering. It basically cuts about 9 feet out of the turning circle of this vehicle compared to an Escalade. So it is much, much more maneuverable. It is still long and wide. It's just a little easier to park. Underneath is a tri-motor EREV powertrain. So it has a little 1.5 liter engine as a range extender and an equivalent EPA range of about 140 miles. It also includes roof-mounted LiDAR, a 27-inch interior display for the driver's side and central display, a 15.6-inch passenger side display, underfloor heating, keep your feet warm, an available fold-down display that's 27 inches wide for rear seat passengers, and even an integrated shower built in the tailgate if you want to do a little overlanding. So again, all the Chinese automakers are starting to raise the bar. 10 years ago, the notion of paying $100,000 or even $60,000 for a Chinese car seemed a little unheard of, but they are continuing to push themselves up market with features and technology to match. And finally, it's time to pour one out for the Tesla Model S and the Model X. Despite the update last June that included new fascias and chassis upgrades, Tesla is pulling the plug on the Model S and X later this year. The reason they say is to make room for the new Optimus humanoid robots, although Elon Musk has warned us that the ramp up for those robots will be agonizingly slow. 2025 sales for both models are estimated at about 30,000 units, and that is a 40% drop from 2024 and far below what appears to be the peak of about 100,000 units back in 2018. So, they're not exactly niche vehicles, but they're not flying out of Tesla stores at the moment. It is worth noting that the Model S lasted for 15 years. That's about twice as long as most global luxury brands. If you look at what Audi, BMW, and Mercedes do with their midsize and large luxury sedans, they have gotten updated and replaced a lot quicker than Tesla. The Model X, at 12 years, also has been showing its age. Both have received 2 minor facelifts and a lot of technological upgrades, but to be honest, they're looking nice, but maybe not as fresh as some of the competition that's out there. At this point, add this to the list of challenges that Tesla faces. Model 3 and Model Y global sales were down 7% last year over the year before. They no longer get any income from selling zero emissions credits to other automakers. And again, both Optimus and Cybercab ramp up, which are the next 2 big business opportunities. The ramp up will be agonizingly slow, so don't expect a big financial turnaround this year or probably next year either. In the meantime, the big question now is how long the Model 3 and the Model Y will last, whether those will get replaced or whether those will also fade into the sunset as well as Tesla perhaps completely exits the automotive business and turns all those cars into orphan brands. So we will have to wait and see. And that brings us to the conclusion of another news roundup. Please visit AutoPerspectives.net to check out the blog. Look for me on LinkedIn. And if you like what you see and hear today, please subscribe and share. And we'll see you back here next week. So long.